What's something that people think makes them look cool, but actually has the opposite effect? Never admitting when you're wrong. It may seem like a confident power play. However, most people just don't care enough about you to say anything or indicate that they noticed. They'll just slowly drift away from you till one day you're all alone wondering why no one with any level of competence wants to hang out, work with you. Please stop blasting your music in places where people cannot escape it. I see your earbuds in your pocket. Please. Salvation. Or having a phone call with your speaker on so everyone has to hear your conversation. Walking around on speakerphone at the grocery store while holding it in their hand. Put it up to your ear. You are already occupying that hand. The hands-free option doesn't have a positive effect in this scenario. Was hiking on a pretty popular trail a few weeks ago. It's pretty challenging, but a beautiful hike. This woman on the trail is blasting, and I mean blasting some kind of motivational speech. I stopped to let her pass and had to wait a good solid 5 minutes before I couldn't hear it anymore. So annoying. One-upping and putting other people down to make yourself look good. Rife in white-collar jobs. I despise people who do it. God, that's my oldest brother. I love him to death. But that guy won't let you get happy about anything you have. Most recent thing that he did. My husband and I took our kids to Croatia to visit family. We stayed for 2 months. My husband and kids have gone more often, but the last time I took a real vacation and went there was in 2009. Of course I was ecstatic and started sending pictures to the family chat since we landed in Madrid for a layover. Everybody was happy and commenting on the pictures. Everybody but my brother. His comments were only about when he and his wife went, or posting his own pictures, which we all saw, we all talked about, and that it happened like 5 years ago. I hate people like that, man. You hate it when people do it to look good. They should just act normal and put people down to feel good. Crying in corner. Oh you. Dude, what's wrong? Me. Sniff, my grandma died. Oh you. Puts hand on shoulder, dude. Both my grandmas are dead. When you've been to Tenerife, they've been to Tenerife. Huh, seriously. The one-upmanship is unreal in my family. Yael made me laugh with these comments though, so thanks for that. Having a phone conversation on a loudspeaker in public, or blasting shitty music from a cheap oversaturated BT speaker on public transport. We get it. Negative attention is also attention. But taking over a public space with your edginess is just being an asshole. My parents have recently discovered speakerphone and refuse to believe there is such a thing as speakerphone etiquette. I'll be talking to them and all of a sudden I'll hear, "So do we know what we want to order?" and I realize they've been holding this entire conversation on speakerphone in a restaurant surrounded by people trying to enjoy their dinner. Oh, and I have thought that my parents are the only one. The absolutely worst case they had done it was when there were a family's friends staying at their place. Parents called me and haven't mentioned anything about being on speaker. They told me about having a last night full of drinking and some stuff. So I asked whether it was okay, because one of their guests is quite aggressive and unpleasant when she drinks. And yeah, she was sitting next to them. They went like, "But hun, she is sitting next to us. You are being rude." Am I being rude? You are the ones that brings personal talks to the table. I still felt ashamed as frick even though what I said was true. Don't. I have so much sympathy for you here. It's unreal how many people bring their phone conversations out in places that it's not appropriate. At the register, drive-through, dinner table, etc. The third party in your story probably needs to hear about her behavior. Mean drunks often don't realize how they appear. You are totally in the right. Not appropriate. At the register. Back in my restaurant days I worked at a short order pizza joint. If you have a nice line of people, I find the most effective way to get through to most of these people is to look right at the person on the phone. Don't say a word. Then look right at the person behind them in line and ask what they'd like to order. If the phone person complains, you just say, "I'm sorry, I thought you were on the phone and I didn't want to interrupt you." It won't generally be taken as passive aggressive even though it definitely is. My favorite line was, "I'm so sorry, I didn't want to be so rude as to interrupt your phone call." Edited to add, one of the best parts of being in management was telling my employees to do the same. When a customer complained about I'd give my crew a free meal card for following procedure in the face of adversity in front of the arsehole customer. The perks of not giving a frick. When people play their music loud at the gas pumps. I recently saw a woman leave her toddler in the car with the crappy music blasting to the point that it was uncomfortable and unpleasant for everyone else pumping gas while she went into the store. Felt bad for that child. My ex did this with our kids. I had to sit her down and explain what was inappropriate about it. She seems to honestly not know it looked more white trash than cool. She's trashy. I'm baffled as to how anyone would think they look cool doing that in the first place. Literally nobody would look over and be like, wow, that person is cool, unless they're being sarcastic. Okay, but this one time I was playing a Grateful Dead song at the pump and this dude who was outside working said nice. Nice. Kids bragging about their parents' wealth and success. There was a guy my best friend dated in high school who had very wealthy lawyers as parents, and he scoffed at me and my friends for having part-time, minimum wage jobs. He said, verbatim, "Nothing is worth doing if it pays less than $50 an hour." That's what my parents make, and that was the moment I realized there really are people that are that out of touch from reality. Man, people who say, well, my parent is blah blah blah, like they know or can do the same things their parents can, really gets under my skin. It's not that they're trying to tell you they can do the same stuff. It's that they want you to defer to them like royalty, because their parents are important and powerful. I taught HS and Ms for 7 years. That shit happened pretty routinely. The worst part of it was that it typically worked because of community politics. You don't want to upset the kid of rich parents or parents who are connected to the right people. I had a kid once who was the adopted son of 2 successful attorneys. He was always bragging about his family's wealth and their multiple vacation homes. One time during a parent-teacher conference, the kid all but admitted that the reason he always had several $1,000s in cash on him at any given time, despite his parents taking away his credit and debit cards and cutting off his $400 WK allowance, was because he was selling drugs at school. But we were told, in no uncertain terms by our principal, not to investigate that if we valued our jobs. Sure enough, he got busted off campus selling cocaine a couple of weeks later and went to juvie. Why sell drugs when your life is made already? Crazy. Because drugs were the only reason he had friends and girls. He was a douche and nobody liked him as a person. But hanging out with him and pretending he was cool would get you hooked up with drugs, as well as alcohol, rides in his new BMW, and raging parties at his parents' lake house on the weekends. Also, his parents had, supposedly, cut off all his other money for other shit he was getting into. This was his way of being independent. That $400 WK allowance and credit card with the $10,000 limit that he ran up every month was gone, and, well, it's expensive being 16. Hating all genres of music except the one they like. I learned this the hard way by only liking heavy metal and shitting on all other music without giving a chance as a teen. Metal's still my favorite, but all genres have good music. Honestly, I've seen far more elitism in the metal community than any other music genre I've been involved in. It's a shame, because metalheads are usually some of the most chilled, open-minded people you could find, until you start talking about music. I have been guilty of this in the past, as have I. It took a while to branch out, but I'm all ears now. I still see some people who are extremely elitist with metal, and I'm so glad I got out of that phase as a teen. As an adult, you just look like the biggest tool, lol. Yep. As a teen in the 80s we shit all over poser metal, Poison, Skid Row, New Crew, and the like. If it wasn't Anthrax, Slayer, or metal church type music, it was for wussies. I laugh at us now as we wax nostalgic over the poser stuff. Dude, I used to hate Metallica because they weren't as technical as the no-name to album deathcore bands I loved in high school. I've grown out of that. I'm not sure if this is just an Australian thing, but people who rev their cars, motorbikes really loud, and it's usually quite late at night while most people are trying to sleep. Guess it's a thing worldwide. Yeah, Sholism isn't country specific. Good old Craig and his souped up Honda Civic racing down the road at 3 AM. Here I thought it was Yoda going for his ketamine fix. Move I will not. In a K-hole I am. Shitting on things other people like. We all have stuff we don't like, but if you spend all your time putting down everything a person is interested in, you don't look cool or edgy. You look like a dong with no interests. Shitting on things other people like. And often it's preceded by the question, am I the only person? As though the dislike makes them special. Am I the only person with this common opinion? Unpopular opinion. Begin saying a popular opinion. This will probably get a lot of downvotes, but begin saying a popular opinion. Unpopular opinion that will probably get me downvoted. Does anyone else not like it when puppies get locked in hot cars? What are your thoughts on this AskReddit? My country recently made it illegal to kill cats. What do you guys think about rules like this? You captured so many things in this comment. I'm impressed.